Okay, it's day 4 of Gen Con, a little bit of a lighter day because it's kind of short. The first game we played this morning was a game called Habitat, which kind of fits in with the new popular genre, I guess, of board game, which is nature-based. So this was a tile choosing game where you had to build up patterns and make animals, things like that.
Well, you build your habitats out of different terrain types, and you get animal tiles in there as well. And if you satisfy the terrain that animal wants, that animal scores points. There's other ways to score points as well as you go on. I thought it was okay. It was a lot of fun, especially considering that we played a very bad nature game yesterday. This is a good nature game, redeem the nature genre. That's really good. And I would probably peg this one probably about $30. I don't know what their MSRP was, but I would pay $30 for it. I'd play it again, which is really the highest praise I can give any game. I would play it again. But I thought it was interesting enough, and we had fun.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was pretty easy, pretty simple, but yet it was fun. The hardest time we had was matching the animals on the cards with the animals, the little meeples that they give you to put on those cards, because sometimes the colors were a little bit challenging, a little bit off. But this game's been out for a few years, so that's not going to change. But if you happen to see it, Habitat was a fun, light nature game.
Dave thought it was okay.
We just finished playing an advanced copy of Call of Duty, the board game.
It's in Kickstarter now.
Oh, it's a Kickstarter now?
Yes.
Yeah, they're still in development.
Yeah.
They're developing for the next 6 months.
Kickstarter now.
Yes.
Okay. It still needs some more development. I think some of the mechanics were pretty bad. I think some of the dice ratios just weren't great. The person that was teaching us it kept talking about, this is much better in the advanced version and works better in the advanced version. I don't know if the advanced version comes in the box that you buy or if that's something extra. So I guess, in all fairness, we didn't get to see all the great stuff, but the basic version wasn't that great.
In terms of a translation from a video game to a board game, I would not recommend this. I didn't feel like I got the feel of the video game. I didn't feel like I was able to actually make choices that made a difference in terms of attacking, defending. I think there's a lot of work to be done before this game's released, but that's just my opinion.
I think Dave's 100% spot on, except for one thing. Dave said he doesn't think it feels like video game. I think it does feel like the video game, but the worst possible aspects of that video game. Where the game is right now, I wouldn't put money. I wouldn't back it. I understand it's going to be a huge game, but I get the feeling that board gamers are going to play it once, say they played it, and then it's going back on shelf. You're not going to play it. I wouldn't back it in this current state. It needs a lot of work.
Yeah, it did seem like, it seems like it's pretty far along. All the suggestions that we gave, everyone that was there was sort of like, we've heard that, but, we've run our tests and our algorithms and everything, and, and we're not going to make any changes. Or, they're just sort of like kind of fatalistically say like, oh yeah, we tried suggesting that.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how much development, how much change is going to be coming in this.
Yeah, it was very much, well, the math says this, the algorithm says that. Well, my experience says this. And that experience was repeated over and over again. So we either defied the odds enough to hit the lottery several times, or, the math ain't working right. Something's up. That game needs to be quite frank, the movement was cool. Combat needs a revamp. Revamp it. It's not working.
So another Gen Con is in the books, and the battlefields have been replaced by, soybean fields for the long ride home. It was a good week, some good games, some not so good games, but you know what they say, a bad week at Gen Con beats a good week at work anytime. We got some new games coming out that we'll be doing on our channel, Everything Ever, and Kites from Floodgate Games. We got The Matrix, we got Forbidden Jungle. We met some great people during the week. We met Nikki, who's a viewer, shout out to her, Ben and Suzanne from Wisco Dice, Dustin and his crew from Maestro Games. There was Joe from Noble Quests, great guy, great game. Tomi and Yoni from Dies, it was great to see them and hang out with them. And, I want to give my personal thanks to all those vendors at Gen Con that saved me so much money by not bringing enough games for the supply that they should have known that they would have needed. But if I'm still thinking about those games in a while, maybe I'll pick them up on Amazon later on.
Big thanks to Jay and Dave for not stabbing me while I sleep.